guys, this is you know who, and I'm back with a tutorial today. It's a little different today because it's all about screen toning. I'm gonna go a little long with this video because there's some things you guys need to know before you actually start screen toning in GIMP, or as we call it, GNU Image Manipulation Program 2.8. So anyway, if you guys don't know, this is a free software program to edit images, create things, and all that stuff. It's like if the free version of Photoshop. So I use this all the time when it comes to editing pictures, not so much actually creating images. I usually use Paint to Side to make my digital art, but there are going to be at times I use GIMP, and one of them is actually making my manga. So what you need to know for GIMP is that it's free. You could download it on the GIMP website. There is a Mac version, I think, or a Linux version, and of course Windows. And I'll be using a Windows because that's my main computer. So yes, if you guys want to know more about GIMP, I'll put a link in the description below, and you can see how you could get yourself a copy if you want to try it out. It's pretty easy and stuff. So basic stuff you need to know. This is the layers part right here, where you'll be actually doing a lot of the layers. Trust me. This is the navigation part. I don't really look at it. This is the brush settings. Brushes. This is the actual paintbrush, how big and stuff, and how hardy you want your brushes to be. This is, I think, history. This is your images, where you can open your most recent stuff. This is the past truth, which we'll be using today. And this is the text, which will be last, but you won't be able to see it because, Anyway, so before we get to actually screen toning, make sure your image has a transparency. Because if you don't have a transparent layer, or like your line art error on a transparent layer, then it's not going to look right. Your screen toning, because you need to make sure your screen toning is not above your line art. So anyway, otherwise it's going to look weird. So let's first go to our images or whatever. Well, my images, so I can find the page that I will be working on for this tutorial today. It will be fun because it's screen toning, and it's like the most difficult part of making an actual manga page. Alright, so this is the image I have here. I did it on Psy. I do my liner on Psy, and then what I did was, when I saved it, I made sure that it was in a PNG file. Because on Psy, on an updated size, you could save it as a PNG, but with different settings. 24 pp and 32 pp, I think that's the name. I don't know. You want it to save in the 32p because that will give you a transparent image like this. So if you're working from side to GIMP, but if you want to do all GIMP your pages, go right ahead. That will be like an easy step for you. You just have to just make sure your line is on a transparent layer. Also, what you need to do is, before you actually start, you need to have another layer. So you create a new layer. Let me show you. You go down here. There's a new layer. Oops, that's layer group. That's you. I'll get to that next. But okay. All right. So you go to layer. Make sure the layer is white because it's going to be a white background. You can name it whatever you want. Me, I like to name my layers white shit because that's the easiest thing to remember, and it's comical. Also, before you do anything, make sure this is on grayscale because it's going to be in black and white anyway. Most of the brushes, the screen tool brushes, are in black and white, so it makes sense to have a black and white image. So when you do that is you go to image, mode, and then grayscale. And now we'll convert the image from an RGB image to a grayscale image, and you'll get a grayscale thingy black and white image. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, we want to make sure that you have some grouping going on here, because when you have a grouping layer, what we'll do is you could just put all the layers that you want in a group so that it'll be easy for your eyes and for the program and stuff. So that's what I like to do. And so I'm going to demonstrate with this one here first. this middle one here. So we went too far in. 50% would be fine. So I'll be screen toning this layer for you guys so you can see how I do it and stuff and things like that. So I renamed my layer group to panel 2 because this is the layer I'm going to be working on today. You could also just put it on one layer and it'd be cool like that for each part of the page, but I like to group my layers into panels, so this will be the one panel, another panel, blah blah blah. In this case we have how many? 5. Yes, we have 5 panels, so I'll be making 5 panel groups. So I'll do that right now so you can see what I mean. Usually the first panel is up here, but because since this doesn't have a border, this will actually be the last panel that I'll be working on. Because, yeah, it's going to be behind these images. Anyway, we'll keep going. Oops, well, I don't care. Also, when you make your layer, which I'll go over, make sure you name your layers or whatever you want, something different each time. Otherwise, it's going to give you like a weird numerical thing. Like here, like if you saw from the right here, you see all that crap. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is, now that we got that all straightened, we're gonna go to the actual toning itself. Now, with screen tone, you can get them anywhere. For GIMP, since there's so many bright patterns, let me go to patterns. Just go to your bucket tool here, and then you go to pattern fill, and this is where your patterns will be. I got mine off of DeviantArt, my screen toning patterns, and that's what I use most often anyway for my screen toning. And they're mainly Photoshop patterns, but because GIMP is amazing like that, it could read Photoshop patterns and some Photoshop brushes and fonts. So yeah, so you don't have to look up GIMP fonts or GIMP brushes. You could just type down any brush you want and you could just install it to the computer. I'll put a link in the description below on a tutorial on how you could do that. It's pretty simple if you have GIMP. So yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna pick a pattern. This is the patterns right here. I got a bunch. You can also use the default ones if you want, but I really don't use the default patterns for this because it just looks stupid. But anyway, let's get to actual screen toning. I'm talking too much. So you gotta make a new layer and make sure it's transparent so that you could see the screen tone. So yeah, we're gonna start up with the background first because that's easy. It'll be quite easy. Okay, and then when you screen tone, grab this tool. This is called the path tool. You'll be making paths, lots and lots of paths. Trust me, for everything you do when you screen tone on GIMP, you're going to be making quite a bit of. It's going to be quite the journey here. So since this is a background layer, I'm mainly going to be concentrating on these doors here, these locker doors and shit, and they're going to be all like one color. Since it's the background after all. So I'm just going to start making my path here. And then as I do that, I'll be talking a little about what I'm doing. So this is making a path. You just press down with your tablet, your mouse, whatever. I like using the mouse because then we're going to be using that for something, which you'll see in a few. When you do that, you're going to, once you do this, you're going to have to close the path line because then it's going to be, then it's going to make like a circle thing, I guess. You'll see. It's hard to explain because I'm doing it and talking at the same time here because I'm a weirdo. Anyway, yeah. Now you could start with anywhere you want with the screen toning, but just remember, If you're going to do the background, make sure it's like the very first thing you do or the very last thing you do, not during the middle of your process of your page, because then it's going to be weird. I like to start the background first because then you know like where like how you're going to layer up the rest of the tones or whatever you're coloring. So alright, we're about done here with this. So what you do, you press Control on the keyboard or whatever command you have for the closing. I don't know how it is Mac, but I think it's the same. Anyway, you press down Control and then you click, and there you go. You close your path. All right, so. All right, so you could pick any screen tone you want, but the biggest thing you got to remember is if you want to know how to like screen tone correctly, I recommend looking at Astro mangas where there's like a lot of toning or whatever, because then you know what kind of tones to use when you are screen toning your shit. You can actually be picking any random one. So yeah. Let's see. I think I could pick this one. Okay, so after you close your thing, I don't know why it disappeared. You go to your little path thing up here, like I was showing you earlier, your path window. If you have not that, if you do not have that installed, you go to Windows, you go to Dockable Dialogues, and then I think you go to Paths or something. No, you don't. Well, I think what you do, you go to how do you do it before? Or maybe it was just already installed. I don't know. Anyway, this is a terrible tutorial. This is a bad way to start the tutorial. So, you go to Path Tools, make sure it's shown, because I don't know why mine's got hidden all of a sudden. You go to here, and then what you do, you see down here, there's a little red square. This is path selection. This will select whatever you made your path. So what you do, you press that, and then there you go, you get the little moving lines. So then what you do now is go to your patterns, your bucket fill, pattern fill, pick whatever you want to use, and then you just press. It will eventually press. There you go. It's going to take a while. This is going to take a while. There you go. Alright, so that's your toning right there. Now, because I'm a weirdo, I'm also going to be using a brush. Now, again, like I said earlier, there are brushes to use for screen toning things. So anyway, there's a lot of brushes. So I have a lot because I'm a junkie. I don't really use all these brushes because, again, I haven't really got to the point that I don't need to use all these brushes yet. But eventually. So I like to use this brush, and it's really good because, you know, it just gives you that nice bubbly little effect, which you'll see in a minute. Oh, also make sure your brush, your dynamics, which will be your pressure sensitivity if you use tablet, make sure that is on. And I like to use pen generic because then it'll give you different line variations where you press down depending on how big your lines or whatever are. This is a little tip. So see how it's like, now that I turn pen generic, the thing is like on, and I can just finally, you know, have a line variation or whatever when I color or something. So it might lag. Well, no, it will lag. Trust me, it will lag like this. Again, because it's stupid. So make sure that you are coloring as fast as you can, but to the point where the program could still capture your movements, if that makes sense. You see how like now is giving you that little bubbly effect because of this one brush here. You could use any brush. Again, if I can remember where I got my brushes from, I'll put in a link in the description below again, and you could see where I got all my screen tones. They're mainly from DeviantArt and stuff like that. Yeah. So we're just gonna do this with Create because I'm lazy. La, 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 la. Again, this is really slow. It's because not only this is I have a selection going on here, but also the CPU usage and all that stuff. It's just a pain. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is the size thing is you can make how big or how small you want your brushes to be. I like to keep mine around the 300 range. Sometimes I go up to all the way up here, but that's rare. You don't have to make it too big. Yeah. Alright, so here we are. I guess it's not quite the best example here, but I'm going to, I'm going to just go through this and you'll see what I mean. So yeah, this is like what it looks like. Sort of. Of course, it's going to look different because I might change it around. It's always good to change your screen tones around, especially if you have multiple ones. Also, another tip is always have at least one type of tone per panel if you're going to screen tone. Otherwise, it's just follow that rule. Because a lot of times, if you notice in mangas, they have multiple tones per panel, or probably at least one. They usually don't have none, okay, if you want to screen tone anyways. So anyway, I'm going to select none to stop the selection, and then we're going to go over on this side and stuff, and then this backward should be mainly done, and then, shit, what did I do? Okay. Alright, so we're going to do it again, this side, because it's fun, and we're going to go over again. Okay, I'm back. I did all that stupid shit. And so what we're going to do now again is to make sure it's all filled. I have to go over here again because, well, I forgot to fill that area with the screen tone and things. Yeah. There you go. Alright. Then I go over my brush again because I'm a weirdo. Again, it's going to lag a bit because this is a GIMP and it's not gonna be great. But it's great in its own way, I think. I really like this program. It's just sometimes when it comes to this, it kind of slows. So that's the kind of problem you might face if you're going to be using this program. The lagginess when it comes to like using the brush and the selections and all that stuff. Alright, so this is what it looks like here. It looks so cool, sort of. So, since this is the background, I like to change sometimes with the brightness of the toning to just tone it down a little bit of the harshness of the darkness of the tones, because they are dark. So, what I like to do is I go to colors on GIMP and then brightness and contrast. This will either brighten up the tones, or if you want to give it more contrast, it'll just bring up the blackness of the picture. So if I do this, well, usually it'll, see how it's getting darker, sort of, but it's giving a contrast to whatever white space there is, but I'm not going to be messy with the contrast. I like to mess with the brightness, so I usually go up quite a bit, really high, because I'm a weirdo. And I forgot to do it on the other side, but you'll see in a minute. Anyway, cancel. I forgot to do that. Sorry. Okay, so like I said, you just mess around with the brightness a little bit. It's your own option or whatever. And see how now it's like lightening up, so it's not too dark in the background. You could do that for each layer you make with your tones. I'll be doing that mainly with Rose's hair, because her hair is like dark and I use a tone for it. I tend to use a tone for her hair because I'm weird. Anyway, so I'll show you how I do her hair. That'll be the next thing. So what I do, I make a grouping layer thing because I know I'm going to be working on Rose. So yeah, so I like to name it whatever. You can name it whatever you want. So this will be more like your foreground. Your subject is more like your foreground. So just remember that. Anyway, so then I go to my path tool and then I start making the paths. And it's just a repeat, and you'll be doing this for a while. Because if you want to, you're going to be doing it, making layers, lots and lots of layers on this program when you tone. Or if you want, you could just always just put certain things on one layer, and then you have much less layers. But then there's a lot more work, because then you have to go back to your path tools, then you have to select that particular spot, and then you have to do. I'm like, no. So I'll give them separate layers, because I'm gonna be doing separate things anyway. So yeah. Also, if I like a certain setting, that I use for like something like maybe Rose's hair or something, then I will name it my layer, whatever, like hair, and then I put it in the name like what tone I used, and then the brightness, whatever, if I have to brighten up, which I do. I tend to brighten things up a lot. So yeah, because that's me. That's my style. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. So if you want to, it depends on your style anyway. But again, if you really want to make it look as authentic as you can, your panels, you're best off looking at manga. So look at your favorite mangakas, or other people that can tone well. Not me. But if you could, anyone really that knows how to tone, and they have a good idea on how to use their toning, you could base off your particular pages off of them. So yeah, that's what I usually do when I screen tone. I go back to like a manga or something that has a certain look that I'm looking for, and then yeah, I don't copy or anything. I just reference it. There's a difference. So yeah, I'm gonna speed up through this, and then we'll get to the actual toning. Alright, I'm back. So now that I have that all ready, I'm going to pick the tone I want for her hair. For any of your character's hair, you could do whatever you want, give it any tone you want. You could give it a noise tone, which is basically like a staticky tone, which I'll show you. See, where is it? GIMP is being a douche. So these are the noise tones I have. Anyway, we won't be using it for Rose's hair. We'll be using something else. We'll be using these dotted ones, because each dotted one, it's like a lot of times people use the dotted tones for like shading skin, or maybe shading in general. I use that for mainly shading the tone, like the dotted tones, and again also with hair, depending on my style. Again, it's my style, so you can do whatever you want with the tones. But really, these would be good for like shading your skin, your clothes, hair, objects, whatever. Anyway, so I'll be picking this one out. This is the main tone I use for Rose's hair. So I'm going to be filling that in. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I forgot to name the layer. I'm like, why won't work? So now that we got that all settled, I'm going to turn off the selection so that it could, stop being so slow. Anyway, so this is the thingy right here, her hair. I'm gonna double check to see if it looks correct or if it looks right. Oh, look, a little error by my part, because I forgot to make the path all over her hair, and I could do that here, but I didn't want to. Well, it's not working with me, so I'm not gonna just completely ignore that. Anyway, pretend that was not there, guys. Or I could just go over my ink thing. Oh, this is the ink tool. This is like your pen tool, I guess you would call it, for like Sci and Photoshop. Yeah, this is. I like to use this for inking if I need to go over something on GIMP. If I mess them up inside and I just forgot to correct it when I was on Sci, because that happens. So I fill it up with like anything, or make the lines bigger, fatter, smaller, whatever, or close something because it looks empty. But anyway, back to the tutorial. So now that I have that out of the way, the hair, blah blah blah. Since this is Rose's hair, I like to lighten it again because she has lighter hair. Her hair is not actually black or anything. It's actually like a light brown color, like a reddish brown color, like I like to draw her. But in the manga, her hair is like brown. It's kind of plain looking, plain typical brown. So anyway, I changed the brightness a bit, not too bright because again it's still brown hair. I like to put a 43 brightness. I keep it like that bright because I like the brightness. It's kind of perfect for her particular character. And again, you can do whatever you want. It's your story, not mine. But anyway, so now that I have that out of the way, I'm basically done. I'm almost done with Rose, with this particular panel here. But again, I'm gonna probably go over the background again, like add some more tones to the background, and I'll show you at the end the result of this particular panel, and then we'll be done with the tutorial. So I'll be back with everything, and I'll wrap it up with some final thoughts and stuff. So yeah. Okay, so I forgot to do earring as well. I'll do that later. But anyway, so this is the final sort of result of how I like a typical panel that my kind of panels. Now, some people they like to go all out on their panels. Me, I try to keep mine as simple as possible. I like to put details of mine as well. But because since this is a damn school scene, I'm like, well, I am not going to put that much toning to it. I don't really need to yet until later on in this chapter. This is chapter 2, by the way. So, yeah. Again, it's a long process screen toning on GIMP, but eventually, once you get in the hang of it, and maybe you'll find some shortcuts that I didn't say in this tutorial, use them, because then it'll save you a lot of time to work on other things, like maybe sketching out some more pages, or maybe doing some vent art or something, I don't know. But anyway, it's your kind of person. But so this goes to the end of this tutorial, sort of. If you want to read my manga, it's called Trump Card Chronicles. I always have the link in the description below. You can read the first chapter if you haven't already. I don't get why you haven't read. If you haven't read already, if you know me for a while, you knew, well, I was going to make a manga. You're like, no, I didn't get to it yet. Like, well, you better read. But anyway, you can check on the description below of the links and everything. And also, since this is chapter 2 should be up when this tutorial is up. So, if you haven't already, you could read chapter 2. Again, I'll put a link in the description below of chapter 2 for those that, want to read chapter 2 or something. But, yeah, parts of chapter 2, because, yeah, I don't put up all the pages at once. I keep them separate because I don't work them all at the same time, and yeah, but anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something from this tutorial today, some basic stuff on screen toning and GIMP. There's a lot more to it in screen toning in general, like what kind of tones to use or what kind of effects or stuff, but this is just your basic tutorial and how to like actually apply them onto the program if you're going to go the digital route, and the free digital route, and that's GIMP. So anyway, again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!